guys, this is Jocelyn from Fantasia Elegance with another wire wrap jewelry tutorial for you. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this 9-strand braided cuff bracelet. And this is a more intermediate tutorial, so if you haven't already checked out my earlier video on how to do the 5-strand braided bracelets, as you can see here, I would highly recommend you go check that out first. It might help you before you jump right in with this 9-strand one. So if you haven't watched that video already, you can click the link right here to go there. But today we will be tackling this 9-stranded version, as you can see here. So as far as tools go, you're going to want some round nose pliers, some chain nose pliers, and some flush cutters. And as always, I have the exact types and brand names of the tools and materials I'm using in the description section below, so please do check down there. In addition to those tools, you'll also need some masking tape. And of course, for your wire, you're going to want to use 20 gauge. I'll be using dead soft sterling silver from Rio Grande. You can see the item number here. I do, as always, though, recommend the first time you're making any design that you start out with something a little bit cheaper, such as artistic wire, copper wire, just something that you can use a little bit of extra length and not be too scared of making mistakes with it. But again, as long as it's 20 gauge dead soft, you should be good to go. So the first thing we need to do, of course, is to cut some lengths of wire. So obviously, it's a 9-strand bracelet. We're going to need 9 different lengths of wire. And so I'm just going to go ahead and straighten this on out. I like to do this by using a jewelry cleaning cloth just to remove any tarnish the wire may have gotten in storage. And I'm also kind of straightening this out as I go so that it's nice and straight for me to measure it out and cut it. There we go. So each length of wire is going to be 10.5 inches. There we go, 10.5. And let me just cut that. And for those of you doing the metric system, that comes to, let's see here, just about 27 centimeters. There we are. So you're going to want to go ahead and cut 8 more of these, so you have a total of 9 lengths. Each of them are 10.5 inches long. Once you have all 9 strands, you're going to go ahead and pinch them all together just like so, so they're all lined up. And you're going to want to take your masking tape out and get about a 3-inch section of that masking tape. And if you want to have some space between each of your wires, that is fine. I'm just going to tape these together so they're all flat and aligned, just like that. Fold your tape on over. Just pinch that on down so that all your wires are held together just like so. Alright, now for the actual braiding portion. It seems intimidating at first, but it's actually quite simple once you get it started. So what you're going to do is to divide your strands. You're going to take 5 on the right, and you're going to have 4 on the left. And I'm just kind of bending them apart here. And you're going to take the outermost strand. We're always going to start with the outermost one and work inwards. And what you're going to do is go over 2 strands and under 2. So you can see here I've got 2 and 2. You're going to take the outermost strand, bring it towards the middle, and you're going to go over 2 and under 2. So see if I can get a good angle here for you. I'm going over these and under these. Just like that. So over 2 and under 2, bringing it in towards the middle. Okay, so you can see now we've got 5 on this side. So I'm once again going to take the outermost strand. I'm going to divide these strands here, so I've got 4. And I'm going to go over 2 and under 2. So I'm going to take the outermost strand, go over these 2, and under these 2. So you can see it's going over 2 and under 2. we go. And once again, you've got 5 on this side. I'm going to take the outermost one. I'm going to go over 2 and under 2, bringing it in towards the center. There we go. And I'm just kind of bending these down a little bit, trying to keep the wires in place. There we go. And it is going to be a little bit tricky for the first few passes until you get the braid forming. But just bear with it and keep taking the outermost one on the side with 5 and going over 2 and under 2. And your braid will really start to take shape and start to make sense for you. Okay, so I'm taking the outermost one on the side with 5. I'm going to go over 2 and under 2. Okay, now as you can see, they're kind of splaying out a little bit. It's hard to tell what's going on. So I like to just continue pulling them off to the side, getting a nice arch in them, and kind of tightening things down. You can even take a pair of chain nose pliers and kind of put a little more bend into them so that they're going off to the side nicely. And again, a lot of this is going to fall into place as you continue braiding. So I'm just using my thumb right here to kind of hold it all together. So I'm going to take the outermost strand, I'm going to go over 2 and under 2, just like that. Okay, again holding it together with my thumb. I'm going to take the outermost strand, over 2 and under 2. There we go, and I'm just going to adjust the bend of that a little bit here. There we go. So as you can see, it's starting to take shape now, and you can make this as loose or as tight a braid as you want to. I prefer to keep it somewhat loose. As long as you have a uniform amount of space between each wire, it will look very nice whichever way you go for. Okay, so once again, on the side with 5, take the outermost, you go over 2 and under 2. On the side with 5, you take the outermost one, you go over 2 and under 2. Okay, and as you can see, I'm continuing to have to tighten this up a little bit as I go, keep it all together. Okay, so I'm going to take the outermost one, go over 2 and under 2. On the other side, over 2 and under 2. So this should be getting somewhat repetitive at this point. Over 2 and under 2. And again, as you can see, it's getting a lot easier now as the braid is forming, and you can kind of see what's going on. And again, you're just always taking the one on the side with 5, the outermost one, over 2 and under 2, bringing it on towards the center. There we go. So I'm going to bump up the speed just a little bit here and braid some more of this for you. Alright, so at this point, I want you to go ahead and continue this braid until you get to the ends of the wires, and you have about, say about 2 inches left on the ends of the wires. So I'll go ahead and finish up to that point and come back and show you how to finish off the ends of this bracelet. Alright, so I am back. I actually went ahead and braided a little bit more of this than I first intended. But just so you guys know when to stop braiding and start finishing this thing off, I'm just going to show you the length of wire I have left. So for the outermost wires, you want to have about 1.25 inches, a little bit less, which would be about 3 centimeters right there. And for these innermost wires, they'll probably barely be touching or crossing. That's okay. The way we're going to finish this off is actually going to be in a line from the level of these outermost wires. So let me just go ahead and show you how to do that. So as you can see, it's kind of coming apart a little bit here, definitely in need of being finished off. So I'm just going to take these outermost wires and I'm going to bend them down slightly, just like that. And then I'm going to trim them off a little bit. Probably so there's about 1 inch left here. So there's about 1 inch left now. Just like that. And then pull out your round nose pliers. I'm just going to grip the end of this and I'm going to start coiling it. Okay, so I'm going to coil it in a complete loop like that, and then I'm going to continue coiling this on in. And you might want to switch to your chain nose pliers. And I'm going to bring this over the other wires and just twist that on in. So as you can see, it's going over towards, this will be the front of the bracelet. So I've just brought it over those other wires, kind of encased them a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So again, just gripping that, I'm going to start spiraling that. In a nice tight spiral. And again, at this point it's just going to go up and over these. So it's going to go on that side. There we go. And you want these two spirals to be so if there's a line between the two, you'd want that line to be perpendicular with the line of the bracelet. So they're on the same level with each other. Okay, so then at this point we're just going to do almost the exact same thing with these other wires. We're going to be spiraling them in until we wind up with all of them in spirals like this, kind of all nesting over each other. So there's no particular order you have to do it in. I'm just going to start twisting them on in. Okay, and let's do the one on the other side. You might find it easier to flip this over and work from the back from time to time. Let me just Trim that off a little bit. Okay, and turning back to the front here. There we go. I'm going to move to this middle one now. And again, it's a little long. I'm going to trim off a teensy bit from there. Maybe a little bit more. So that whatever the distance is from this central line, you want it to be about 1 inch. Just like that. So let's continue turning that on in. Oops. See if that helps us focus here. Okay, and let's do this one next. And again, there's no right order or certain way to do these in, as long as you get them all twisted in and kind of nesting over each other. Okay, and this last one I'm going to trim just a little bit again. Oops, didn't mean to bump the camera stand there. Alright, so there you go, and you can make any little adjustments that you want to in terms of where these swirls fall. But that's the general idea of what you want to do. So there is one end finished. And let's go ahead and move to that other end where we had the masking tape. So what you're going to do for this end is go ahead and just tear off that masking tape. We don't need it anymore. And you'll probably have a little bit of residue on the wire. You can just rub that off with your fingers, or if your masking tape is particularly sticky, you can use a little bit of rubbing alcohol to take that right on off. And what I'm going to do now is kind of splay these wires back out. As you can see, it's a little bit narrower at the end here and a little misshapen. So we're actually going to re-braid just this end to get it all nice and uniform. And I'm just straightening these wires out as I do this. Okay, so now that I have kind of unbraided that end, I don't like how these wires are lying, so I'm just going to make some little adjustments with my pliers here. And basically what I'm trying to do is make sure that this braid is uniform the whole length along. And what you can do to kind of make this tighter is bend it slightly to the side and then back a little bit, just to tighten up any parts of it that got a little bit loosened. And that'll even out any little inconsistencies in it. Alright, so now we need to rebraid this part, and as you can see, this is our right side. To rebraid this effectively, what you'll need to do is actually flip it on over and work from the wrong side of this piece. So, and as before, if you remember our pattern, hopefully, you just start on the side with 5 wires. Take the outermost one, and we're just going to do the same deal as before, over 2 and under 2. Alrighty, and as before, we're going to stop when there's about an inch left on these end wires. And I'm just going to finish off the same way as before. Just be mindful you want the swirls to wind up on the same side, so I'm going to flip this over again. This is our right side. And let me actually yeah, I probably can't fit any more layers of the braid in there. So we'll just go from here. So same thing, we're just going to bend these 2 outermost ones down a little bit. Trim them off a tinge. There we go. And again, taking your round nose pliers, you're just going to spiral these on down. And we're going to curl these on the front of the bracelet. Okay, so there's one, and let's do that other one. Okay, and just like before, if any of these ends are a little bit longer, again, you want to have about an inch. You can just trim those. Alright, so there are all the ends tied off, and as before I'm just going to do some finishing touches, just tweaking these end swirls to be a little bit more tidy and tucked under everything else. See if we can get this one to cooperate here. Okay, there we go. So at this point you can, if you want to, make the bracelet longer by doing that same technique of bending it to narrow it up a little bit. There we go. And all you have to do now is shape this for your wrist. So you just kind of start bending this gently. And you want to go gradually to avoid any kinks. You can shape this around an object if you want to, something round. Or you can just kind of freehand it. So I'm just putting in a gradual curve here so that it winds up being C-shaped. And you wind up with something about like that. So to put this on, I like to kind of turn it so the opening is towards my hand this way, slide it on over, and then you just rotate it on into place. You can tighten it up if you want to when it's on. And there you have your 9-strand braided bracelet. Has a bit of a Viking or Celtic flair to it. To take it off, you just again turn that opening sideways to the narrow part of your wrist and you slide it on off. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to make a 9-strand braided bracelet. As before, if you have not already checked out my 5-strand bracelet, as you can see here, you can click right here for the link to that video. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful and not too difficult. Do take a few moments to like my Facebook page and check out my Etsy shop. The links are in the description section below. And feel free to comment if you ran into difficulties with this or if you have any ideas for future tutorials you might like to see. So thanks for watching and happy crafting!